your thoughts on that role? Because apparently that's how he knows you.
And I had a really, really, really good time doing that film. I like doing comedy stuff, especially silly comedy stuff. I don't get to do a lot of that. In a lot of my work, I'm generally playing sort of like serious or, intellectual people, which I like too. But it was really fun to do something goofy.
That's fun. That's cool. And he was just bugging me to make sure I asked you about that.
That's one of the ones that I get. I mean, it's funny when I get recognized. I don't get recognized a lot, but I get recognized a fair amount, and I can usually kind of tell because sometimes people recognize me, but they're not sure from where. They're like, "What do I know you from?" And then I usually make them squirm a little bit because it's no fun for me to just tell. But a lot of times I could call it like, that's a person who's going to recognize me from Road Trip, or that's a person who's going to recognize me from Rent, or sometimes I'm surprised.
That makes sense. All right. I just want to get a quick plug in because we do have an Amazon link on our page. If you want to read more of an Anthony story, because I've read your book, I've read your memoir. I think it's a great read. Without you,
Thank you.
And it is available on Amazon. I just want to plug that because it's on the top of our BlakeHouseHousehold.com, and it'll be the featured item when this goes up, so everyone can read your story, which I think is a very good read. I got through it pretty quick, and I don't read books really fast, so that says a lot.
Well, thank you. That's an endorsement. Thank you.
Big endorsement, because I have an autobiography sitting in my bag that I've been reading for 4 months, and I got through yours in a couple of weeks, so that says a lot.
Wow.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Anthony. It's a big deal to me and a pleasure to talk to you today.
Well, thank you very much for having me.
And good luck with the rest of the tour.
Thanks.
I have often dreamed of a far-off place where a hero's welcome would be waiting for me, where the crowds will cheer when they see my face, and a voice keeps saying, this is where I'm meant to be. I'll be there someday. I can go the distance, I will find my way. If I can be strong, I know every mile will be worth my while. When I go the distance, I'll be right where I belong.
Oh, and thanks for calling me back.
My pleasure. Sorry about the miscommunication there.
No, sorry about it on my end, too. I'm usually better with time zones than that. So, give me 1 second here, and I'll be ready to go.
Okay.
He's been hooking something over here. All right. I got all tangled with wires over here. So, all right. Let me get a proper intro here, because I know we're running a little behind schedule, so give me 1 second here, and we'll do that.
Okay.
And again, sorry about this. I appreciate calling me back. Right.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. 3, 2. All right. Let's bring on my special guest for today's show from Disney's Broadway show Aladdin, Adam Jacobs. Adam, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Let me start by congratulating you on your new album, Right Where I Belong. It is actually a really good album. I was taking a listen to it the other day, and it is really, really good.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. I have to know, because I'm a big Alan Menken fan. Love him. One of my inspirations when it comes to music. How do you get to make an album of just Alan Menken music?
Well, I always wanted to make an album. Yeah, this is my debut solo album, so I'm very proud of it. I didn't know what I was going to do initially. Is it going to be just a regular Broadway album? Wasn't really sure. And then after working with Alan in Aladdin, it just sort of clicked. I was like, of course, I have to do his music. And I was actually surprised that nobody else, at least when I Googled, to see if anybody else had done an album of his songs, and I hadn't seen anybody else do the idea. So I said, you know what, I'm going to do it. And I'm so glad that I did. Alan was great to work with. He helped me. He gave me his blessing, essentially, and I went up to his studio and we went through his catalog of songs, and I picked out a bunch of really great tunes. And so I put some classics on there and then some other ones as well that aren't as well known, and put the whole thing together over the course of about 6 months, and really proud with how it came out.
Well, I have to admit, I'm impressed. You're right. It is the first of its kind, because I am a huge fan, and I had never heard anything like this before, so I am impressed.
Thank you.
One of my favorite songs, actually, it's more obscure, and it became popular during the Broadway show, was Proud of Your Boy. I have to know, on the album, is that a cappella? Is that an a cappella version?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it is. It is. It's,
it was amazing.
It's four-part harmony. It's four-part harmony, and it's my voice.
Wow.
I sang with myself. So it's, and I doubled it each time. So it's really 9 voices that you're hearing when you listen to it.
Wow. That makes it even more impressive, because I love that song, and I go to play, I'm like, wait, that's a cappella. that's impressive, because that's why I think I've heard every version of that song. You throw that one at me.
Yeah, I wanted to do something different with it, and I thought that was kind of a cool way to do the song.
Yeah, I'm a fan of it. Trust me, I've seen
Thank
it
you.
over and over again. So I was like, wow. I even said to my wife, like, is this not a cappella to you? And she wasn't sure. I was like, that's well done.
Yeah, that's the idea. I sang a cappella in college,
man, perfect.
And I've always been a fan of a cappella groups like the Pentatonic, the Manhattan Transfer, and I thought, you know what, this might be something different. It might be horrible, but it might be great. But I'm just gonna go for it.
Yes. Hey, I have and you did another song from Newsies, which is Santa Fe, and I'm a big Newsies fan, so you popped me on that one. So I have to tell you that. So I'm a huge
Thank you.
I actually went to the Newsies Broadway show. I went to here in Milwaukee, and then I got this album on my Spotify. I'm like, really? Really? You did that? That's amazing. So I just have to compliment those little things that I noticed as I was going through the album. So
Thank you.
And I'll come back to the album in a minute, but I wanted to jump to the role that everyone knows you. You are Aladdin, which is, to me, amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite Disney movies. My son loves it too, so for me, it's a big deal. Did you grow up with the movie like the rest of us did?
I sure did, yeah. And I watched it numerous times, and when I was a kid, I would pretend to be him in the playground at my school, and
wow.
and run around and jump off of benches and run around and I would engage my schoolmates to pretend to be guards and chase me around. So it was a big influence in my childhood, as was Lion King, actually. Both those two shows, which I somehow miraculously was able to play both of those lead roles on Broadway.
Yeah, trust me, I'll get to that in a second. You started on Broadway in Les Mis. And that's, for me, amazing to actually make your debut on Broadway in such a massive show. How does that even happen? Like, how do you end up on such a big show?
Well, I was lucky there, too. I played the role of Marius on the road for a year and a half. And then when it just sort of timing worked out that they were going to bring the show to Broadway in the revival. And I went in with Mike Cosette. We auditioned. We weren't just cast from the tour. We had to audition. And of course, we went in there knowing everything already. And we just went in there and had fun. And Cameron McIntosh and everybody was there. And, their idea was to do a non-traditional casting, multi-acting cast. And the fact that we knew it and we nailed the audition and were having fun, I think they saw that that we would be right for the cast.
Well, that's definitely luck right there, but impressive nonetheless, because you had to have a lot of fun doing a role you've been doing. So
yes, yeah, for sure.
Well, you mentioned The Lion King. Again, another one of my all-time favorites. I have seen that on Broadway. I'll say that. Loved it. When were you in The Lion King? For people that don't know that have seen it, like what years were you in that show?
Right. So I did it for a year on the road back in 2011, and then a year on Broadway in 2012.
Okay, that's impressive. What's it like? That show has to be insane to do, because I know I've seen it, and it's so over the top. And I was even talking about this on my main show we were talking about musicals they should do on television, like the NBC specials.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I put The Lion King on my list because I want to see if they could pull it off because of how over the top it is. How is that to do on stage? Because that's so crazy.
I mean, it's all of Disney's shows have really high production value, and The Lion King was the first show they did that really went out there, and that's a testament to them hiring Julie Taymor and trusting in her creative vision, and really letting her go out on a limb with her ideas and trusting her, and so and Disney. One of their strengths is that they hire really talented creative directors and lighting to make magic, and Disney knows how to make magic. They're the best at it. So
absolutely.
So it was a dream to play that role. That role particularly, Simba. I auditioned for it for years and years. First in college, and then I did. It took over the course of about 8 years. I was auditioning for that show, and then it finally worked out. I had to sort of grow into the role, and I never gave up, and I kept going, and luckily it worked out for me.
Okay, I'm actually trying to look it up. Were you adult Simba or kid Simba?
Yes, adult Simba.
Adult Simba.
Right.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, because I'm thinking I could see you doing like Can You Feel the Love Tonight and stuff like that in my head. I could just picture it. So I could see that working really, really well with your voice. That's why I'm thinking that way.
Yes, that's right. I didn't put that on my album.
No, but you could have.
But yeah, I sing Can You Feel and Endless Night, and that was the big that's the big Act 2 soliloquy song.
Yes.
That was a fun one.
And of course, you also did Detsu Hakuna Matata. Am I right?
Yeah, and I have to thank Jason Reyes, the original Simba, because he sort of paved the way for me too. I was sort of one of the first non-black Simbas to play the role, and a lot of people were like, "Wow, you look a lot like Jason when you play the role," and I took that as a big compliment.
That is a huge compliment, actually. It really is. So, did this lead you to Aladdin then?
Yes, it did. It sort of led me directly to the role. I was playing Simba in Chicago on the national tour, and the producers happened to be in town, and they saw me and said, "You know what? Let's fly him to New York for one of their first readings." So I initially didn't have to audition. They just flew me from the tour for a week, and I got to work on the first table reads back in New York City, and it was super exciting. At the time, I didn't know they were working on Aladdin, so it was really cool that they called my agent and let me know and that they were going to use me. I was, over the moon, of course. And then that was the long road that started to Broadway. That was back in 2010. And it was a 5-year road where we were doing presentations and multiple readings and, doing the show and for Disney Records and Disney Movies and Bob Iger, all the big people from Disney. I had to sort of check off on it and approve it. And then I had to audition for the director when they brought Casey Nicola on. And so there was times we didn't know if we were going to be in the next rendition of the show, because we did the out of town in Seattle, and then we did an out of town in Toronto, and then we went to Broadway. And each time we weren't sure, if we were going to be used in the next production. So it was tenuous, but and we put in a lot of hard work and a lot of changes, and luckily now we have a very successful hit show on Broadway.
Yeah, the Tony Award-winning hit show on Broadway. I want to note.
Yep.
Yes, I love bragging about that for Disney show because, like I said, I'm a big Newsies fan, and I can say Tony Award-winning Newsies, Tony Award-winning Aladdin. I can say that because
that's right. Yeah, and I could say I'm a Drama Desk nominee now, so that's exciting. I get to say that.
It's good to brag about the honors
for my work.
It's good to brag about the honors once in a while because you earned it. You guys deserve the honors.
I mean, yeah, you got to toot your own horn to some extent.
Yeah,
of course. I am an actor after all.
Exactly. There's nothing wrong with that. So, when you took this role, obviously, with the dream come true for you, as you were saying earlier, you're playing a character, for me, I know, and it affected all generations of guys, especially, because it's sort of the first male lead roles in Disney film, because it was the Disney Princess world, and then Aladdin came out, and it changed everything. How did it feel?
Yeah, it was a game changer. Yeah, for sure.
How does it feel to play that role that a lot of people relate to, like so many people relate to?
I feel it's kind of